It's like a robot recording in progress.
Recording in progress. Hello, welcome to Cleaning Business Life. And my name is Shannon Miller, and we are going to talk about mastering the art of in-person estimates. There is a lot of subliminal messages that happen when you're doing in-person estimates. What about you, Kim? What do you think?
Yeah, when you do in-person estimates, there's a whole, I think, strategic layout that you have to have put in place when you go into these in-person when you have to go to in-person, I can't even talk. When you have to go to in-person to do these in-person estimates, you have to I feel like have a plan before you just walk in. You can't just walk in to do these in-person estimates and then not have a plan or a layout. Do you agree?
I agree. There is a lot of dynamic with the in-person bid. If you're new, I recommend that you do them. They are time consuming. People are inconsiderate. They don't show up on time. They flake out. There's a lot of things that happen. But if you do get your foot in the door and you can give an in-person estimate, you are more than likely able to close it right then and there with your agreement signed, credit card in hand.
Yep.
Obviously follow your credit card rules. You have to shred it, or depending on what state you're in, after you get back to the office. But you're more than likely to close the deal versus doing it over the phone. People, I feel like, are little fairies that just float around looking for the right price. And we won't talk about pricing because we talk about pricing all the time, but there is a dynamic that has to happen when you do in-person estimate. So what are some of the basics, Kim?
So one of the things that you want to do when you start off when doing an in-person, you want to meet that client when I started, I had to meet that client first because obviously you said you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me the chance. I think when you go to do in-person estimates, when you first start off, I feel like it gives you that opportunity to understand the dirt code that we talk about. So you can kind of get an idea of the dirt code and learn the dirt code
Right.
and properly charge. So, Shannon and I both think that, it's okay to go do these in-person estimates, but once you start getting the experience, that's when we say, hey, you can do it over the phone. But that's like the setup. So preparing the estimate. So before you step foot in that client's home or business, you need to have that game plan that we talked about.
Mhm.
So to ensure the tools that you have. So I have a sheet and I don't know where it's at. I lost my sheet. I have a sheet that I use and it's like a layout of everything. So you need to have a notepad or a tablet to take notes. You guys need to have a phone so you guys can take pictures. Of course, you do need to get permission from the client that is okay to snap pictures. Just let them know that, hey, I need to snap some pictures so I can better know what we need to work on or, the spots that we need to do the deep clean. And bring a list of questions. So, just information about how many dogs they have, how often, things that you can ask for the walkthrough, like pets, surfaces, particularly they want you to focus on or care. And then once you're prepared, it's time for the walkthrough. So be really observant. So I always say to make sure you have your good peepers on and you got your x-ray vision because you really have to look up and down and around, look for high traffic areas and flooring. Look at the flooring. What kind of flooring do they have? Is there any special surfaces? One of the places I cleaned had coral countertops.
My God, that must have been really
And it was thick. So that you guys are watching, it was probably, let's see, 1, 2, maybe 3 inches thick. but it was like literally coral from the sea.
Right.
And
I'm
so
not sure legally how they were able to do that. We won't discuss that here.
no, we won't, but I'm just
It's like
gonna say,
ivory from the elephant tusk. I
yeah,
have an
but
ivory encounter.
but I'm gonna say really know, like write down the different things. So when I go to do an in-person estimate, or now that I'm over the phone, I would even write down like, okay, they have this kind of surface on the floors, they have this kind, this is special, like quartz. So really write down the different things and where they're located at. So you can break it down kitchen, you can break it down living room. Um, ask, what the client expects, because this will kind of help with red flags, you know.
Definitely. I think that Kim is mentioning all of the questions you should ask, and I think that you should have a system in place. And
Mhm.
you know me, I try to give you the low tech method and then the one up above it, right? So if you were brand new and you didn't have an iPad because you're just starting out, you're going to take your service agreement, which you can buy off of me if you want, or you can go to Pinterest or whatever service agreement you decide to have, and you're going to print out 2 copies of that service agreement, and you're going to put it in your clipboard, and you're going to have your sheet that Kim has or wherever you find it's going to talk about the stuff in the home, and you're going to take all of the notes, right? And
Yep.
then when you are looking detailed on things, you're looking for damage.
Yep.
You're looking for damage, you're looking for booby traps. And what I mean by booby traps, that bronze sculpture, and you can look on a bronze and it'll say 1 to 4,000. That's it. There was 4,000 of that piece of bronze made. That doesn't mean that you pick the bronze up, move it over, wipe under, and put it back. That bronze never leaves the surface it has been placed on. If you break a bronze, they're not repaired. You can't repair it, and you're going to be responsible for the bronzes. I've seen some bronzes. We just had one installed. Bill Nebeker, if you know him, he's actually a client. He's in his 80s, supposed to have retired. He just made a bronze for the 19. If you guys know anything about Prescott, it's the one and only time I've seen 72 news vans in our town. And we had a really unfortunate incident where 19 out of 20 volunteer hotshots were killed in this really bad fire. You can look it up online. So you want to make sure that you have systems in place so that you can do these things and make it easy for you. So you don't want to hurt artwork. I know several people who have Picassos. I know one person who has a Van Gogh. There's a handling of things. You got to teach your cleaning techs. When you go to a museum, you often will see a brass bar that sits out about 3 feet from the actual portrait. And if you're lucky enough, it's not covered in glass or under security lasers like the Leonardo da Vinci, the Mona Lisa. So we're seeing all these crazy things. People are throwing stuff on fine art. I'm like, it's like, take your self-righteous ass out of there. Don't ruin history for everyone else. But you want to be aware of the booby traps that you have. You want to make sure that you're detailed, just like Kim said, and you want to do weird things like look in the toilet. And people are like, why am I looking in the toilet? You want to look in the toilet. It could be totally sparkly clean on the outside, and you look and you're like, oh, it's
You're
three
gonna
pumice
go
stones.
inside. Look and see if there's chips in the bathtubs or the
Right,
showers. Like look to see if there's chips.
right.
Look to see if their shower has the mold. We've seen this in a lot of groups where the grout, it's in the grout. Like you have to have that grout replaced, and you can let them know like this is really in the grout. This is something that I'm not going to be able to remove no matter what I use.
The
But
silicone as well.
yeah, exactly. And yeah, doing the cooking. And that's when your expertise comes in. So really looking at those little details is like huge.
And running your hand on the inside of the shower will tell you, is it smooth as a baby's bottom or is it rough? Because all of that stuff, water, skin, product that people use, it just adds on layer by layer. And then sometimes you have to ask because you can't tell it because it's becoming so good at manufacturing. Some of that stuff looks like stone and isn't, and some of it is stone that shouldn't be treated with harsh chemicals. So make sure you understand building materials. If you are not familiar and you're brand new, go to a Home Depot person and ask the flooring person a lot of questions. Ask the tile person, do you know
Yep.
anything about this tile? We have a place here. I've been dying to get an interview with him. One of these times I'm going to corner him and he's going to do it. He's a floor guy and he also has tile and he is like an encyclopedia of materials.
I love
Um, Educate yourself on those types of things. You know, for example, most ovens are 30 inches across. I only found this out because I bought an oven, a first time brand new appliance, probably in forever. Most ovens are 30 inches across unless they're wolves or they're small apartment ones. And then the difference is, I think, literally 3 or 4 inches.
Oh,
So
wow.
wolves are 35 or 36 inches, and the small little apartment
Mm-hmm.
um, things, I believe they're 21 or 22 inches. Try cooking a turkey in one of those suckers. It's like,
Yeah, know if their oven is blue inside, ask them. Like like my situation when I moved into the house, it was a new oven, but they put the oven cleaner on it and sprayed oven cleaner in it. I mean, they put oven cleaner in it and sprayed it, and then they put the oven on to clean it, and it destroyed my oven, the inside of my oven. So it's never
right,
going to be the same. So when you do your walkthroughs, like look inside the oven, like was it
look
already?
for the damage.
Yep, and they'll give you an idea. And that's where like cleaning the oven is an a la carte. So when you do your first time cleanings, like, and you put down your price for that, always know, for your first time cleaning that you don't clean inside the ovens. That is an extra. So you can add it on for your first time cleanings. I don't know if you do the same thing, Shannon, but I always did that as an add-on for deep cleaning, like our first time cleaning.
Yeah, ovens and refrigerators are always add-ons. And then if you close the deal, make sure that you are getting giving a copy to them and that you're having them sign and everything and that you're sticking it in your folder, whatever you're doing, that you don't lose it
Mhm.
for the in-person estimate. And really do note, like Picasso, right? You teach your cleaning techs not
Yep.
to touch
Certain things.
Ed Stasak, who is no longer alive, he was 80 years old when I first got into this game. He actually and his wife would go to the state of Hawaii. I'm sure I've mentioned this story before, and they were responsible for cataloging all of the archaeological digs on Waikiki. So, but if you went downstairs to his studio, he was a fine art. And I like looked at some of the portraits. I'm like, oh my God, this is like $1 million.
And you can use Google Lens if you have Google on your phone, and you can do Google Lens if you guys are not sure
Mhm.
about what the prices are for those things. Google Lens is super helpful.
Right. And just so you know, like I had a client for a long time and she had artifacts that should have been in a museum. We always talk about the pilgrim chair. And what the pilgrim chair is basically it's a piece that should be in a museum that she was using as a household item that had to be treated with care. That meant that the cleaning tech could never use it as a step ladder. I would have a heart attack. That meant that you couldn't sit in the pilgrim chair because if you broke it, insurance wouldn't cover it.
Yeah, it's meant to
So,
look like.
right, and you weren't allowed to put any product on it because guess what? You could ruin it that way too. So she was actually the only one. She had a lot of pieces of antiquity that I made stay home because God forbid something happened. I wanted her to be there in case, water got on the carpet, the Indian carpet that was, $250,000 that was made by the Indian carpet maker who's no longer alive because it was passed down from tribe to tribe to tribe. It's just, you got to understand the dynamics of what you're getting yourself into. And yet you're emphasizing those things in the care of other people's items of their home. Now, the second way that you can do an in-person bid with technology and it's totally low cost. You can either look for a bidding app if you want to. I'm sure there are several, but I never found anything that was catered to what I was looking for. So what I would do is I would take my cell phone and I would make a Google form and I would access the Google form and I would ask the questions and type it into my phone. So that way I had it and it would automatically send it over to my email.
That's so
If they wanted a copy of it, I could send it over to them as well. And then I would write in the notes what I thought it was. Or if you're more advanced and you have a digital calendar system, you could type it into your digital calendar system when you got back and sent it over that way as well. There are the three options. The very low cost DIY, bring 2 copies, hand it over. The semi
Mhm.
low cost thing, it costs a little more sweat equity. You could create your own form and boom, it's an easy peasy thing. Obviously, you'd have to be in a place that has cell service because you want to be able to access the form. And it's always awkward when you have to ask a customer for their Wi-Fi password because they immediately think that you're going to do something. And most people don't have a guess. I don't know why, but everyone, I think when they sign everyone up for internet should have your home internet and guest internet. It should be an automatic thing. So there's not this weird awkwardness like, can I have your Wi-Fi password?
Yep.
So just my thought, you know how I always am in my head. So and then I believe there's actually a couple of estimating apps that you can buy, but they don't teach you how to do the math. That's why I always recommend that you take the pricing blueprint masterclass. It's like learning how to count cash. If you know how to do it in your head, then you understand what's behind the thought process of the
Absolutely.
pricing, and it just makes it's more of a knowledge base. And
Mhm.
yes, it is hard to charge what everything is worth, but it does make it better for you in the long run, and it shouldn't be a discounted service. I won't even go down that road.
So
So,
like,
go
and
ahead.
I, no, I was just thinking about like we see it all the time. Like we see people, in different groups and they're constantly asking how to price stuff.
Right,
And you have to learn. You can't just rely on everybody to give you the prices.
right.
And that's so when you take the Blueprint Masterclass for the pricing, like you said, it's going to teach you how you came up with those numbers. So once you have that in your brain and you've learned how to price, it's going to be super easy. And then you're not going to have to ask everybody. I mean, maybe once in a while ask, but you'll have it down. So it's worth it. It's definitely
And
worth
it
it.
is a learning curve. It's not, it's easy to have an app and the app spits it out and goes, this is what your price is. But you have to remember that either A, the person who created the app has never owned a cleaning business, has no idea, has come up with some generalizations. I saw a post the other day and Google said that the average professional house cleaner makes $30 an hour. I started laughing because that's not true. Because there are insurance costs, there's payroll taxes, there's gasoline, there's all advertisement, there's all of these other added costs that make it so you can't charge $30 an hour. You'll never make it. Um, so please consider learning how to price. And if you don't know, I mean, way back when, when I didn't know what I was doing and I was charging by the hour, I literally would sit on their couch and I would calculate how much each room would take me. And I usually would overbid, but I was bidding by the hour and I was super cheap. So no one even questioned my pricing. Like, I would put back, if they had 3 bedrooms, I put 30 minutes for each bedroom. I knew that the big, huge master bath hypothetically would take me about an hour, even though after a while I could do a master bath in 20 minutes. So, it would just, and obviously I was bidding flat rate at that point, but just so you have a general idea of what that process is. So make sure that you're clear in your communication and being confident. I cannot emphasize this enough. I just got a text message from someone and I'm going to read it here. And I thought it was a really sweet, like, thank you. And it made me like, it says, well, I must say you may be right. I think I just made the most on a move out ever. I've made I've never made and I haven't made this much in a long time, and it was a small and clean move out. And I probably would have only asked for half that amount had you not pushed me in the direction I need to go. Thank you. So, those are things that fills my cup. That's what makes me like go, oh, right. And I know it's corny and dorky, my face is turning red, but that's the reality of it. When you are starting to make top dollar on your jobs, it pushes everybody out of the way so that you can focus more on what you need to do. Um, and then closing the deal, when you bring in the low tech method of having the form and you're getting the credit card number, you've closed the deal. They're not going to shop anymore. They've already given you the credit card information. That even though they have 3 other bids coming, you've got the credit card. Unless they call you back and go, well, Susan said she's going to do it cheaper. Say, I'd like to see that bid. That will shut them up because you know why? They didn't get it cheaper from Susan. They just didn't want to pay what you initially told them. So,
Exactly.
and then Kim always recommends doing when you do a bid, if you're still learning, this is going to take a little while. There's the first time cleaning, the weekly cleaning, if they went bi-weekly, and how much monthly if you're doing monthlies, how much those cleanings are, so that it's all out there, right? And make sure your bids are good for a period of time. I like a bid of like 5 days. It used to be in the old days when we used to put bread bags on our feet and walk through the snow, it would be a 30-day bid. I no longer give a 30-day bid. It's either cut or dry. You either decide in 5 days or not. Sometimes it's 72 hours because everybody is shopping around. There's like, I'm getting 72 bids. I'm like, why? It's like, why are you getting 72 bids? Because you want to waste everyone's time? I mean, we're all the same.
And I like doing that. I always like doing like laying it out for all the prices because you can put it in your system. So once they do accept the clean, and let's say they decide, hey, I want to do like biweekly cleaning, or I want to do biweekly cleaning. So you give them the price for biweekly, and then like let's say, like a month later, they're like, okay, well, I'm going to do monthly, and they think that they're going to get the monthly cleaning for the biweekly price. You can be like, no, this is my monthly. Remember, I quoted you for the monthly.
Mhm.
We know monthlies are going to take longer and you're going to charge more for monthly. So
Right.
it's already laid out. So you can go back and say, okay, well, this was the rate. If you want to switch to monthly, this was the rate that I quoted you. And
Right.
then keep it, like I said, for, after I have their paperwork, what I did is I just kept it. And so, until it'd be time for a price increase. And then I would change that, all of them, whatever that price increase was. So mine was always like 12%. So I would always add 12% to each of those. Or if
Right.
things changed, if they had babies or added more dogs. So,
Or if a long period of time goes, say they have biweekly and then they suddenly want to go to monthly and it's been 6 or 7 months, you don't have to honor the price that you gave them. You could actually give them a price increase at that point and give them the new monthly price. It
exactly.
doesn't have, you're not, no one's gonna die. They can decide, well, they can go back and say, well, it says this. I'm like, you can say it's been 6 months. Everybody knows the economy has changed. I mean, look at it. It's just like a whole thing that I've never seen before. So you don't have to hold it. If they decide to do something later, that's fine. Or when they skip. We talk about this every once in a while. So you have a biweekly client, they've gone on vacation, they've had a babysitter or a dog sitter at the house, and it's now been a month. They don't get to go and have a regular monthly price. It's going to be an extra add-on charge when they resume service. So if they're biweekly and they've skipped 4 cleanings in a row, that's almost considered a deep cleaning again. You need to charge them a deep cleaning price. Just to let you know, your price is going to be higher the next time you get back on the schedule. And you don't have to hold, Kim's got to go. You don't have to hold your spot open for them. So if they're leaving on vacation, don't hold your spot open on your schedule. Make sure that you are filling those spots and just say, oh, I'm going to pull you off the schedule. I'm happy to put you back on the schedule where I have availability. And this is going to be your new thing. And they're going to say, well, why can't I have Tuesdays? Well, you've been off the schedule for 8 weeks while you traveled the French Riviera. Come on.
Or
So,
they got like a house sitter that stayed,
and
and
they,
like the
and
house
they didn't
sitter
pick
was
up
there for,
anything and they had parties every night. And it's just, I've seen it. So,
it's like, well, sorry, this is the rate. So yeah, we're excited, you guys. Like Shannon said, confidence is so important. We always emphasize having that confidence, because when you go in with confidence and you go in like you're a professional and you know your stuff, you're gonna be able to close that deal a lot quicker when you go in with that confidence. Um, and it's, you know, bring the value. What is the value that you bring, your company versus these other companies? How can you separate yourself from these other companies? Um, yeah. And
easy. It's
then
easy. Mine was always a smooth running. Everyone who ever came to me was like, this is the smoothest running cleaning company I've ever been in. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I work a lot on that.
and
So
I
you
know,
just
like,
never know.
I was it was neat because Cassie comes and she helps me at my house for cleaning because my life has been so chaotic. And it was so funny because she's like, yeah, I went and did an in-person bid. And I was like, that's funny because that's what Shannon and I are actually going to talk about on our podcast. And she goes, I actually did something a little different this time. And she goes, when I was there, I brought your cleaner with me and a cloth. And I just like I showed her window, like I used your cleaner. I said, this is the cleaner that I use.
Mhm.
It's pure green. And I cleaned a little bit of her window, just where the dogs were at. And then I went and did one little other spot, and she was sold right there and took my services, and she canceled the other ones that she was gonna hire. So like Cassie went above and beyond and just did one little thing just to show her that she was, what she does, what she brings to the table.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
I already told
Anyway,
Cassie I'd probably mention her in the podcast, 'cause she already knows.
you're in the
I was like,
orbit.
I'm
You're in
using
the
that as an
orbit.
example.
Definitely. No, it's a great way to close a deal, definitely. So those are some of the things that you need to do. Show up on time, be considerate of other people's times, make sure you're in uniform, bring a clipboard, don't assume that you're going to be able to write on someone's surface. You could actually press too hard and hurt something.
Yep, I have
No,
a clipboard I
yeah,
keep, and it opens up and has all the papers.
right. And then be considerate and close the deal. Walk out. Say, I'm ready to put you on my schedule now. All I need is the filled out paperwork. And you can pull up your jobber app or whatever you're using. Yeah, I got Thursday available. You want that?
Yeah, don't let them tell you what days.
No,
You have
you
to tell
decide.
them. Yep, you decide and you say, these are the days that I have that I'm in your area.
Right.
And this is the time slots that I have available. Don't let them be like, well, I can only want Fridays. I want cleaning done on Fridays. It doesn't
I'm
work
happy to
that
put you
way.
on Fridays if you signed up for weekly service. The minimum charge for weekly service is blah.
Yep. Well, like I actually do all my weeklies on Fridays in your area. So you can even upsell for that too. So, and that, I think that was one of the things too, we had mentioned really quick was when you go in, they might want to say, okay, well, I want my couches vacuumed on top of this and this and this, and they're going to expect it to be part of the price. So just when you go to do your estimates, like have that extra sheet, the a la carte sheet, so you
Mhm.
can show them and you can make extra money. Like you have money sitting right there and be like, would you like your couches vacuumed every week?
Yeah, we're gonna add that
Every
on.
day
It's
of the week? I'm
$25
like,
each
it's only
piece.
$25. I can add it onto the price and we can have your couches looking great and free of dog hair, for that hot 5 minutes. Um, but that's how it works in my house with golden retrievers. But no, use that as an upsell. When you're there, you guys have a chance to upsell and make extra money. Oven cleaning, fridge, you have that opportunity to make extra money.
Well, this concludes a brief overview, or not
Yes.
so brief overview of a walk-in estimate. Um, I don't want to go into safety, but just make sure you're aware of your surroundings when you're doing your bid. And we've talked about this in the past. So, communication is key. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Yes. Thank you guys. We love you. Subscribe, share. We need sponsors. Mwah.
Woo! Bye.